Hello everyone and welcome to Rock Studios. I'm Stan Miller, I'm PR and Analyst Relations Manager for Rockwell Automation in the EMEA region. And I'm joined today by my dear colleague Keith Larson. He is Group Content Director for Processing, Engineering, Design and Automation for Endeavor B2B. Keith, welcome to the studio.
Great to be here. Hard to believe we're around to yet another automation fair. Not my first time.
No, not at all. In fact, I noticed that you have that spiffy pin on your lapel.
Yeah,
and it's
somebody pinned it on me this afternoon, yeah.
34, is that what the number I'm reading there?
That's right. I was one of the initial attendees at Automation Fair #1 in, I think, 1992, of all things, in Philadelphia. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And now, as we chat, right, we have the exhibit hall here, Automation Fair 2025 closing. It's been a remarkable few days of innovation, inspiration, thought leadership, technology. I'm curious to get your take on some of the things that you've seen. But before we get to like what you've seen, let's take a little bit of a look back, if that's okay.
All right, yeah.
So, being the Automation Fair veteran that you are, having attended so often, what are your thoughts on the biggest changes that you've seen from back then to now?
Yeah, you know, looking back at 1992, it's easy to forget how far things have come. When I look back at 1992, I remember that we were still an industry with all purpose-built technology. So we were a relatively small, and compared to technology nowadays, you know, the software scene and the cloud and everything else, even the tech sector was pretty small. You know, Microsoft MS-DOS was fighting it out with IBM's OS/2. Can you imagine such a thing?
Yes, I remember.
I wrote an article about that in the spring of '92, and in the April issue came out an article about Microsoft Windows 3.1, which is what really cemented Microsoft's lead in the HMI area and the arena going forward, and they never looked back. So it's pretty crazy to think how little we were dependent on commercial off-the-shelf technology. But since that time, it's I think that what was most amazing about that era is that's about when we hitched our industry to the tech wagon, and it's been pulling us increasingly faster every year since then. And it's only getting faster, that's for sure, yeah.
It's remarkable. I mean, taking a look back, Keith, I mean, certainly there were challenges in the industrial automation space back then. I mean, when you think about what manufacturers were looking to overcome, do you think that there's still some challenges that remain from that time even now?
Yeah, and I think it's one that that has finally started to come together, and that's the whole islands of automation concept. I mean, that we were struggling to integrate systems and make them work seamlessly together, and to some extent we still are. You know, we got more data than ever and less information than ever in a lot of ways. But I think we're at a real crossing point right now, because the whole AI revolution is driving this whole effort towards contextualizing all that data and putting the knowledge graphs together, and everything you need for large language models is going to not automatically, but as a byproduct of that, it's going to cover a lot of that integration effort that was so hard and has been so hard for 3 decades and more. I think even longer. It was even longer than '92 that we were struggling with islands of automation. So that's probably my biggest thought there, yeah.
Oh, and maybe to just drill down a little bit deeper, I mean, the conversations here at Automation Fair, right? There's a lot of discussions around data and the insights that manufacturers can get from that data. And the connection with AI as an enabling technology to make that happen. I mean, is that some of what you were hearing as you and your team were covering the show?
Yeah, I think it's definitely seen as, you know, talk about automation to autonomy, but autonomy doesn't, except in a few rare cases, maybe lights out, people out kind of an arrangement, but more changing the role of the humans so that humans can do more higher value added stuff rather than some of the mundane stuff that operators do nowadays. So really elevating their level of decision making where it's optimizing the plant and deciding between three good paths forward, what's preferable versus just, killing that alarm and making sure something's not broken. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think particularly when we hear some of our executives, for example, Cyril Perdicat, our Chief Technology Officer, one of his constant refrains is that AI exists to give humans superpowers, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a fair amount of technology out on the exhibit hall floor that kind of speaks to that mindset, that ethos, that strategy. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's maybe something that will make again. Hey, if I can go to work and work with AI and solve difficult problems and really bring value to a manufacturing organization, I think finally after 30 years of decline in the engineering field in terms of interest and participation by the youth, maybe we can finally give Google and Meta a run for their money in terms of recruiting young recruits, because nobody's going to be programming anymore. That'll just all be AI. So they'll have to come work with us. Yeah.
Indeed. I mean, I think there's so many dynamic and inspiring things happen in the manufacturing space. It's about making that more visible, right, to that younger generation.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, from your perspective, what are some of the most significant developments or technologies that you saw at Automation Fair this year?
One of the ones that maybe caught my eye the most was continued discussion. I think it started to really take hold last year or two around digital twins and simulation. Instead of just using them on the design side of a particular facility, why not have a live virtual twin that can continue, as I always call it, integration in the fourth dimension. So you're integrating not only systems in the physical world, but through their life cycle as well. That's the fourth dimension time, and how digital twins can live on and give more value. And I think the problems people are solving as well, like this new facility that Rockwell is going to build here in the coming days, really being able to leverage digital twin technology to look at how do we optimize performance from a financial perspective, not just, how do we keep the temperature at 84 degrees? How do we optimize return on our investment and productivity in the right ways? And I think that's one of the things that I find really fascinating and intrigued to see where that takes us.
Yeah, you just mentioned it. That was a huge piece of news that happened that was announced this week. Blake Moret, our CEO, announcing that Rockwell Automation is making a substantial, major investment in southeastern Wisconsin with a brand new greenfield manufacturing facility. I'd love to get your take on that and what you think that means.
Well, I think it's great to have manufacturing back in North America, back in the United States, of course. But I think this is the kind of manufacturing we can support. It's not highly manual processes. This is going to be state of the art. It's going to be a pilot plant for proving out what these technologies, software-defined automation, AI, all of these new technologies can do, and being able to prove it out to your potential customers as well. And that's going to be a really it's going to be a highly visited pilot plant, I think, or a plant for many, many years to come. Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. I mean, being originally from Wisconsin, even though I live in England now, the fact that we're going to have this, state-of-the-art, what most likely be kind of one of those lighthouse type of facilities, and like a huge producer of Rockwell Automation technology. Like, it's going to be a high capacity. My understanding is going to be a high capacity manufacturing operation. Can't wait to see it. So I hope Rockwell Automation employees will get a chance to be able to tour that eventually.
Yeah, well, I'm only in Chicago, so I'm sure I can make the trip north. And from what I understand, things like this digital twin are going to be used extensively in this construction. So I'll want to go look under the hood. Yeah.
Keith, Was there anything, to circle back on just some of the technologies at Automation Fair, is there anything else you might want to highlight? I mean, there's so much, right? I mean, there's so many new products being introduced. There's so many different offerings, whether it's cybersecurity, AI. We had this incredible innovations booth. The technology and services showcase booth was also just massive. So I know it's kind of a big question to ask, but with you and your team covering the event, I'd be remiss if I didn't see what else might have caught your eye.
Yeah, I think for me, some of what I was really intrigued by was you mentioned Cyril's presentation, and Mateus Bolho as well, is really looking at those three drivers that they see: the AI technology, AI technology. Yeah, but there was more than that. Software-defined automation.
Yes.
And really, how that can transform things where you're doing design independent of the hardware platform, so you can start deploying much more flexibly and maintain technology investments into the future much more readily as well.
That's fantastic. So, Keith, I have it on good authority that now, as the show is closing, that this Automation Fair is the best attended Automation Fair to date. Now, I don't have a specific number. I think we're going to be holding that for a bit, but I mean, it's such great news for our customers and our partners, our media partners as well, the influencers on site. And I guess, just to ask you, as someone who's so familiar with this event and has covered it for so many years, what does Automation Fair as an event mean to you?
Wow, that's a really good question. I mean, it's certainly how I spend the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving every year. That's number one. But it really is a demonstration and a meeting of minds, really, for me. And there's so much great ideas discussed. It's always it's part of what drives the industry forward, I would say. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, as we kind of wind down our conversation, as we see folks leaving the exhibit hall for the last day of Automation Fair, I guess my last question for you would be, will I get to see you at Automation Fair next year in Boston?
Well, clearly, I can't let my streak go unended. I'll be in Boston with bells on.
Fantastic. Right. Keith, you know it's always such a pleasure to see you, pleasure to work with you. Thank you for joining me in the studio today.
You bet. Same here, and wouldn't miss it for the world.
Thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more about industrial automation, digital transformation, and the future of industrial operations, visit rockwellautomation.com.